delicious, nutritious, and cost-effective bone broth. That's right. We are going to learn how to make and can this bone broth, and it is chicken bone broth, by the way. So if that sounds interesting, then keep watching. Hey y'all, it's April, and thanks for stopping by my channel, My Crazy Creative Life. If you're new here, welcome, and if you are a returning viewer or subscriber, then welcome back. I really appreciate each and every one of you. So as the intro stated, we are doing bone broth today.
Hey y'all, I wanted to break in here real quick just to say, yes, I am a little extra chatty in this video. I don't normally talk this much. I just feel like I've got so much to tell you that I need to explain, and so it's caused me to be a little extra chatty, I guess you could say. And then also you can add just fresh garlic and onions and some fresh vegetables if you like fresh herbs like thyme and rosemary. You can throw that in there. Also, feel free to just put a whole chicken that's not even been cooked. You can do that. Put a whole chicken in there and fresh vegetables covered with your water and let it cook on slow. Let it simmer on slow. You can bring it to a boil and simmer it on the stove, or you can put it in a crock pot, or like the big 22-quart roaster like I've done. Also, I typically add turmeric to this recipe. I don't know why I forgot it, but you can throw you some turmeric in there as well.
I made bone broth. Actually, I've made it throughout the years, I guess, or at least over the last few years I've made it. And bone broth is, if you do some research on bone broth, it is so nutritious for your body, and especially your gut health. If you've got a really bad gut or a leaky gut or something like that, bone broth is supposed to be one of the more beneficial things to kind of help to heal that leaky gut. But if you go to the store and see how much bone broth, I'm not talking about just like your chicken stock or anything like that. I'm talking about actual bone broth. If you go and look and see how much it is, it's pretty daggone expensive. So in today's video, we are taking some old kitchen scraps. I hate to use that term because it makes it sound nasty, and it's not. It's just leftover. It's scraps that you have left over from cutting up an onion, or peppers, or celery, or carrot peels, you know, that type of thing. So over the course of time, I will put those in a freezer bag, and I'll stick them in the freezer until I'm ready to make bone broth. Then I also like to take like a rotisserie chicken and, you know, to obviously take the meat off of that. But then that carcass, instead of just throwing it away, that is good material. So just stick that in your freezer and freeze it until you're ready to make some more bone broth. You can also go to the store and get, like, if you're wanting to do beef broth, you can go and they sell like soup bones. That's really good if, like I said, if you want beef bone broth. But for chicken, I just use that carcass. And then I also got, this is the first time I've kind of really done this, so if you like chicken feet, then please don't let this offend you, but it just kind of freaks me out just a little bit, even though I used them. But it gives the bone broth a little bit more of the collagen and the good stuff. So, plus it's not expensive. I mean, you could have packed about like that. I don't know how many was in it, but it was packed like that, and it was under $3. It's $2 and something. So I think I can handle some chicken feet for it being cost effective, and you know, and it's kind of beneficial to pull out that stuff from those feet, even though but but if you can get past that, then you got you some good bone broth. So anyway, for this video, it is making the bone broth, which usually takes anywhere from 12, and it can take up to 36 hours depending on what kind of broth that you decide to make. Your chicken is going to be more of your 12 to 24 hour because it's obviously smaller bones. And then if you let it go too far, then it ends up being just not good. So for the chicken, it's anywhere from 12 to 24. I want to think mine had sit there for, I don't know, 20, 21 hours, somewhere around that time frame. Now, if you do, like I said, the big old soup bones, that probably would take closer to the 24 to up to 36 hours. But we're just doing chicken, so it's not going to take as long. And then we will can it up. You do have to have a pressure canner to be able to can bone broth for storage outside of a refrigerator. If you make it and then just store it in your refrigerator, then it can last up to 7 to 9 days, or you can also freeze it. You probably, you know, depending on how much that you want to put back, you may not have to make as much as I did, or you don't have to make as much as I did. You just make a little crock pot full. I made like a big 22-quart turkey roaster thing full. And I'm even starting to think, did I mean to make that much? Because it sort of feels overwhelming just trying to figure out, you know, do I have enough jars? Where am I going to put this at? Because you have to put it in the refrigerator and let it get cold, but the fats, you know, congeal, I guess you say, and take the fat off before you can it. So I'm sitting there thinking, where am I going to put all this stuff? So anyway, let me shut up. Let's get into the video, and I will see you whenever the video's over. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I'm really kind of hoping that you go ahead and hit that little subscribe button. My goal is to reach 500 subscribers, and I'm starting to get fairly close to that 500 mark. I mean, I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to creep up and get there. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I really hope you do. Share the video, you know, like, comment, you know, if you just like and comment, that kind of helps push it out in the algorithm, so maybe other people that haven't seen me, you know, they might get a chance to kind of see me. So if you haven't subscribed yet though, I really hope you do. I've got a lot of videos that's getting ready to come out. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. All right, that's it. This is clean. This is what I use to do all my tomatoes in and stuff. If you haven't watched any of my tomato juice videos, go back and watch those. But this is what I use to cook my tomatoes down. My hands are clean. I have washed them. This is my frozen carcass. I just, like I said, I pluck around the meat and then I just leave the bone. It looks a little freezer burnt, but it's not that old. It's not going to be, I mean, it's going to be okay, but it does look a little freezer burnt, but it's fine. But there's the carcass. And then I found, apparently I had forgot, I'm bad about that sometimes, I had this chicken that I had plucked off. I probably used some, either we just ate it straight out or I used it in another recipe and this is what was left. And I just forgot about it. So instead of it going to waste, I'm going to go ahead and put it in this chicken too. Then I want to take some vegetables. If you've watched my canning videos where I've been doing a lot of canning and we went and got all of the vegetables and stuff from the Amish, I just, instead of sticking that in the freezer, I stuck that in to my refrigerator because I knew I'd be doing this soon. So all this is all of those bell peppers and the other peppers I cut up and a little bit of onion. So I'm going to throw that in there. I'm debating if I want all of them. I've got some frozen that I need to use, so let me grab it too. And I may just use half of this that's not been froze. I've got half a bag of spinach that has been in my freezer way too long, so that's going in there. Okay, now this bag, it has some of the other stuff that I was wanting. It's got some celery in it. It's got carrot bits in it. It's got more onion. It has some other color bell pepper. And so I definitely was wanting some of, you know, that in there. Because I'm going to do, this is going to be chicken broth, bone broth. And then the next one is going to be beef bone broth. I found these. It's zucchini and yellow squash spirals. And I had bought these when I was on the keto diet there for a while. They've been in the freezer probably a little longer than they should too. I don't think they're past date, but I just need to go ahead and get them out and something done with them before they are. So I think I'm going to throw a handful of those in here. All right, y'all, this is kind of gross. Some people might not see that as gross. I kind of do, but I have listened to someone recently that says that to go ahead and throw some chicken feet in there because it gives you more collagen. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some chicken feet in there. I'm not doing the whole entire pack. I'm going to do probably about half of it since I've got that other carcass in there. I'm just going to do about half of these and then I'll freeze the rest for another time. Ew, that feels so weird. Oh, that feels weird. I've never dealt with chicken feet unless it was a real chicken. Okay. Ugh. Oh, I don't know if I can handle that. Oh, gosh. Oh, I'm sorry. And I hope I'm not offending anyone. If you love chicken feet, sorry, this mouth. If you love chicken feet, I hope I've not offended you. But this is the first time I've ever dealt with them. And I think I'm in shock just a little bit, so forgive me. All right, let's carry on. All I'm going to do next is I'm going to get water out of my refrigerator because it's filtered water, and I'm just going to pour it up to here, and I'm going to splash some apple cider vinegar in here. And then we're going to let this sit at least 12 hours, but up to 24 hours. And what the apple cider vinegar does, it helps to go into where the bone is and pull out some of that like bone marrow and that good stuff that's in the bones that we need for our body. That's what the apple cider vinegar is supposed to help do. So I'm going to fill this up with water and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of this Bragg apple cider vinegar with the mother. And because the mother is more beneficial when when we're talking about apple cider vinegar, you really do want the mother in it. But if it's cooked in a really high heat, it kind of breaks down and the mother kills the mother. That's kind of weird to me to say that, but anyway. But this is going to be on such a low heat, I don't think it's going to bother the mother. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons. And again, like I told you, the vinegar helps to break down the collagen that's in these bones. And actually, I think I'm going to do 4 tablespoons because that just doesn't look like that would be enough. Okay. So 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar to your bone broth. And I am using a 22-quart roaster oven. If you're using a smaller crock pot or even an Instapot, you probably just want to go with the 2 tablespoons, but this is quite a bit of water. Now I'm going to put some salt in here. Okay, I'm going to use the red mineral salt. I get mine from and I probably would be cheaper if I would just buy the big bag, but I get mine from my local health food store. And I think I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. I'm telling y'all, it's been a minute since I have made bone broth, so I'm trying to remember everything that I've done because it's been a little bit since I've made any. But you can leave this in here anywhere from 12 on a low heat. I'm gonna put mine on about 225, and for your crock pot it would be on low. But you want to cook this for about 12 to 24 hours. It is a little after 1 for me, so I know it won't be 12 hours because I'm not going to be doing this at 1 o'clock in the morning. So just sometime in the morning when I get up and able, then I'm going to strain all of this. And you pull out all the big vegetables. Then you take cheesecloth and you run the liquid through the cheesecloth to get out the rest of the impurities, make it real pretty and clear. And then all you've got left is a little bit of the fat and just your good bone broth. So periodically come in here and kind of stir it up with a spoon. And I'm going to get this mess cleaned up, and then we will be back on this tomorrow. So we will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow I should be talking better. So I'm trying to cover this side because I know it looks ridiculous. But tomorrow I will be back, and like I said, we will get all of these old vegetables out, throw them away, the bones out, throw them away, all that in the trash. Then we'll get out all the impurities, and then we are going to can it up, and I'll show you how to do that. That will be for you just a few seconds. For me, it'll be almost a whole day, so at least 16 hours. There it is. Oops, that's loud, sorry. It's been roughly about 21 hours, I think. I started this around a little after 1 yesterday, and it's almost 11 now, so you do the math. All right, so what I'm gonna do is get out all the big chunks. I'm gonna set this here to get out as much water as I can. You can see what I'm doing, so I'm gonna continue doing this. I'm gonna put them in my little strainer here, put the parts I want to throw away here. I'm gonna continue doing that. Whatever juice I get in here, I'm gonna pour back in here, and then I'm gonna go through it again and put it through the cheesecloth to get out all of the little bitty stuff that you can't get through here, or that's too little and it will slip through here. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this, and I will bring you back when I'm finished. Alrighty, I've got all of the big
chunks out now. And all that's left is the seeds that was from the jalapeno peppers and the bell peppers, and just some other bits, maybe little things that have fell off from the bones and whatnot. So I am going to, I've got, this is actually a super fine sieve. I bought that once for flour, I think, whenever I was going to grind up some wheat. But anyway, so I've got a cheesecloth here, and I've got it folded over, so it's doubled over. And I'm just going to take in a big cup, and I think it's instead of a ladle, I think it'll work a little bit better. Maybe. I'm going to continue doing this until I've got all of this pushed through. And periodically I'm going to have to put this in another pot because you can see. Alright, that's done. Now periodically this gets so gunked up, you have to rinse that out, wring it out, and then put it back in there. So this made a lot of broth. So I'm just going back through it just in case something got through that I didn't realize. Okay, I'm gonna keep doing this until I get it all back in there. Alright, that is good. It's just, I did not realize when I put those, one of the bags of the peppers in there, it had the jalapenos in there. So it's got just a little spice to it, but it's still good. So I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoons of salt. It's Redmond real salt. I'm gonna put about half a tablespoon. Otherwise, I'd probably put 1 to 1 1/2 if it was the granulated. Yeah, because you can see that that looks like a powder. I mean, like a flour. So it's not gonna take as much because of that reason. Next one is the same deal. It's onion powder. I'm not putting any pepper in this because it's the jalapeno. Woo! Okay, I know this isn't my liquid measure, but I don't care. I'm putting 1/2 cup of lemon juice in here. A bottled lemon juice. But it's handy, so I just grabbed it. Alright, everything I told you just a minute ago, double that. So, while I was off camera, I ended up doing another 1/2 cup of the lemon juice, another 1/2 tablespoon of both the garlic and the onion powder, and another 2 tablespoons of salt. And I think that was it. And I've never actually I've made bone broth several times before. Usually I just stick it in my fridge or use it from there. But I don't really have room in the fridge to stick this amount. So I was reading, you have to strain the fat off of bone broth to be able to, before you can it. The way you do that, you have to let it get cold. Of course, if you've ever made soup or anything that had a lot of fat in it, you know, you put it in the fridge, you get it out, and all that thick stuff on the top, that's the fat. So, that being said, I'm not going to get to can this today. So what I'm going to do, wish I'd thought about this earlier and I hadn't. I took a sprig of fresh rosemary, and I've got some dried thyme. Thyme and rosemary really go good with chicken. I've got some dried thyme, and I'm just going to take a chunk of it. And since I've already strained that, I don't want to have to go strain it again. So all I'm going to do is I just cut off another piece of this cheesecloth. And I'm going to let this cheesecloth sit in there overnight along with the pouch. It's got the cheesecloth with the thyme and the rosemary in it. And I'm just going to let it sit in there. And I'm going to put the lid on here in a second. But anyway, I'm going to take this insert out, and we will be going in the fridge for overnight. So as far as this goes, I'll see you all tomorrow. All right, I am back with this broth. There is so little fat left in here. I almost wish I had just went ahead and canned it. I think why mine didn't have a ton of fat is because it was a rotisserie chicken, and so most of the fat was gone because it had been pre-cooked, you know, for the most part. And then all I used was those feet, those chicken feet. So it left very little fat. So So I'm gonna skim what I can off of this, and which is, like I said, not much. But anyway, I'm gonna skim what I see, heat this back up, and then I'm gonna pressure can it. And you have to pressure can bone broth for my altitude, anywhere from 10 to 11 pounds of pressure. And for pints, it's 20 minutes. For quarts, it's 25 minutes. But you want to maintain 10 to 11 pounds of pressure, obviously, the entire time. That's the one thing with pressure canning. If you lose your pounds, if they go down below what it's supposed to be, they say that you are supposed to stop and get it back up to the pound that it should be, and then restart your time. So you really got to keep a good eye on this. So, all right, let me shut up, and I will get the fat off this, and then I will meet you back over at the stove where the pressure canner is. I did want to say, the reason that you are supposed to skim the fat is because during the cooking, the processing time, if there's a lot of fat in your broth, when it does that siphoning, you know, sometimes it can siphon. And I've told you before, if you watched any of my other videos, when it siphons, as long as that seal is sealed, you know, then it's okay. You can go ahead and feel that it's safe. Just keep a good eye on it. But when you have something with a ton of fat in it like this, and it siphons, then that fat, you know, obviously is greasy, and then it gets around that seal, and it can cause your seal not to seal just by the greasiness of the fat. So that's the whole point in removing the fat. Okay, here's my pressure canner. Make sure that you have a bottom rack. Make sure that your rack is in the bottom. That's just my divider. If I had pots to be able to stack here and then stack another round on top, but we're going to do quarts. But anyway, so my bottom rack is in here, and you are supposed to pour 3 quarts of water in the bottom. That's it. You don't cover the top of your jars like you do with water bath canning. So we need 3 quarts of water. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my burner on high. All right, I'm in a different spot when seems like I do it differently whenever I'm canning in my pressure canner. I don't know why, I just do. So you fill your jars, make sure that your broth is hot, and you're gonna fill your jars to 1 inch headspace. And if there's any foam, try to remove the foam if you can. But like any other canning, you want to take your little pokey jolt tool or anything plastic or anything wooden like a skewer, and go around it and try to release some of those bubbles. And you're doing 1 inch headspace, so that 1 inch headspace is right at the neck. Right at the neck of the bottle. And you're going to wipe your lid as always. Okay, it was in the washer. Dishwasher, and it is clean. Okay, so we're going to release some of those bubbles. I'm going to wipe the rim. Put the lid on. And you seal fingertip tight. And then you're just going to sit it in your canner. That's all there is to that. So I'm going to continue filling these up until I get 7 quarts, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I turn my burner back up to high. I'm going to wait for it to vent, and then when the steam comes out the vent, and we'll time it for 10 minutes. And I think from here, I'm just going to direct you back. I'm going to insert a clip from when I done my vegetable soup video. It's going to look a little different because it's going to come from that video. But it's the same pounds of pressure, and I'll show you how to get your canner out. I'll show you everything about the canner on that video. And so for this broth, it's going to be 10 to 11 pounds of pressure. And since I'm doing quarts, it's going to be 25 minutes. If it was pints, it would be 20. But since I'm doing quarts, it's 25 minutes. Now that's for my altitude. Always make sure if you live, I believe it's 1,000 feet above sea level, your pressure and your time, everything starts going up when canning is concerned. So make sure you know your altitude level and you know what you need to do as far as your altitude where you live, okay? So I'm going to insert this clip now, and I'll be back whenever this broth is done. It has been a little bit since I have actually pressure canned. I've done some water bath canning, but I've not pressure canned in probably going on 4 years or longer. No, it's probably been about 4 years. So I got my pressure canner out and I washed it really good, and then the little valve there where your little jiggler sits on top, even though I've washed it, I want to make sure that you can feel air going through that. So I'm just gonna blow through it, and it's blowing through. But that's very important because you've got to have this is where your steam comes out before it even starts to seal. When I take out your the rubber gasket, get you just a little bit of oil, some olive oil or vegetable oil. I just got some on my hands, and just run that oil through. And you want to do that, I think it is every, it's like every 5 or 8. Let me look back, let me double check on that because I've forgotten how often you need to oil this seal down. Like I said, it's been 4 years since I have pressure canned. I've water bath canned, but not pressure canned. This is hard to do. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, I got it all in there. Now we are going to let that come up to pressure and let it steam for the 10 minutes. I'll show you when we get there, because what that's doing, it's building up the pressure inside that canner, and when it's blowing through that steady steam for 10 minutes, it's pushing out all of that air that is inside that canner. That way, when it's, by the time the 10 minutes is up, it should have pretty much most of the air out anyway. And then when you put your little jiggler on, then that way you can start gauging it, and it should. Okay, for these Presto canners, you want, before you put your jars in, you want to make sure that you check your water level. Your water level is about 3 inches of water. I know that doesn't sound like much, and mine's a little short, so I'm going to add a little bit more. But usually 3 inches or 3 quarts. And on next is, you see this vent right there where the jiggler thing goes? This has to come to a full steam, a steady steam as they call it. Not a little sputtering, not a poop poop, but it has to be a steady steam. Once you see a steady steam, you're going to count 10 minutes. So set your timer for 10 minutes. Once that timer has reached, or once you know you went to the 10 minutes, then you're just going to set a little jiggler on top. Then from that point, then you're going to watch your dial go up. So at the moment, we're going to wait till that is a steady steam, and I will bring you back. I just wanted to show you, this is not a full steam yet. It's getting close, but this is not a full steam to where you want to start timing your vent. And yeah, my microwave was supposed to have been in yesterday, and it's not. It's going to be Wednesday now, so please excuse all that mess back there. But anyway, just wanted to show you, because even though it's steaming a little bit and it's kind of bubbling out there a little bit, that is not when you start your timer. And I will come back, I'll show you what a full steam is. I decided to go ahead and just show you because we're in the daytime, and when I cooked that the other night, it was nighttime. Okay, now, do you see how it almost looks like a tea kettle? That's the steam that you want. I mean, it's coming out pretty good. So once it starts coming out pretty good right there, then you're going to set your timer for 10 minutes. After the 10-minute timer goes off, then you're just going to set your jiggler on top, and then you'll start watching your gauge rise. Okay, our timer just went off.
I also forgot to mention this. If you see that this little lever right here, it's very similar if you have a pressure, a cooker like an Instapot or something. You know how that little, the seal thing, it has to pop up and it lets you know that it's at pressure. That's the same with this. It's going to pop up. This is going to be the tricky part. Kind of have to maintain your, I'm going to go with this one. You don't want the pressure to come up super high or go down super low, and you kind of don't want it to go back and forth either. So I usually let it start coming up a little bit on the high, and then then I will lower it down a little bit. I'll kind of have it about medium high. You really have to play around with it, because the thing is, once we get to the 10 pounds of pressure, that's when my countdown can start, which was what I think, 25 minutes. So my countdown can start once I get to my pressure level, which is the 10 pounds of pressure. It has to maintain that 10 pounds of pressure. If at any time it goes to 9 or below 9, then you have to get it back up to the 10 pounds of pressure and start the timer all over again. So you really got to keep a good eye on it, making sure that it doesn't lose pressure. Typically, I have it a little bit more than what it costs for. So say this is 10, I might have it 11, 12, somewhere in there. That because I don't want to let it fall and then have to start that time all over again, because this is a long time anyway, and you don't want to over process your food the best that you can. So really got to keep a good eye on it. All right, so it's starting to creep up there some. I'm going to keep an eye on it, and then I'll come back whenever I start doing anything. That way I'm not sitting here the whole time, and you're not sitting here the whole time. Hopefully you can see we're at 5 pounds of pressure now. So I told you slightly wrong just a second ago. I said I would turn it down. I do start turning it down, but I gradually turn it down. So say high is a 10, then I'm going to turn it to 9. Then I'm going to wait a little bit. Then I'm going to turn it to 8, and so on. And then I'll kind of just work with it until I get where I need it to be. Sometimes I might have to go back up on my heat a little bit. But I watched, when I first started learning this pressure canning, I said I'm not pressure canning in probably close to 4 years, 3 or 4 years. So I probably have started about 5, well, it was 2019 or 2020 when I started pressure canning. I got my pressure canner. I want to think it was 2019. But I do know that they were really hard to find that year. You couldn't find them anywhere. No stores carried them. You couldn't get them on Amazon. I mean, everybody, they were just selling them out like crazy. And I want to think, not that you care. Okay, first, I'm about a 7 now, so I'm going to turn it down just a touch more. So I was at a 9, now I'm going to go down to about 7.5. Because I was kind of between 9 and 8.5, 9. But anyway, I had searched everywhere that year for a pressure canner, and then where I live at, the town above me, which was about 20-30 minute drive, something like that, so it's not too bad. Anyway, I had called their, what was it, Ace Hardware. I had called that particular Ace Hardware, and they actually had, I think, 1 or 2 in stock that particular day. And so I asked if he could hold it, and I said, I am on my way. If you will hold it, I am on my way. And he did. He wrote my name on it, and he held it for me. And then I got there and got it. Just thank you, Lord, because I was really wanting a pressure canner that year. So I was able to get one, but buddy, they were hard to come by that year. I don't think they're as hard to come by now. I think a lot of people are still wanting to can, but it's not the craze that it was at that particular year. I mean, everybody was just so afraid that we were going to run out of food, and was trying to grow their own food, can their own food, which is good. I mean, we need to do that anyway, but it was just hard to come by. So there's my long story. Okay, ooh, we're almost there. So we are at about a 9. So I'm going to turn it down to about, let's go down to about a 6. So I'm down to about a 6 now on my heat. I'm still watching that, but because I got completely off track telling you about my story. But I used to watch this little man. I I don't know who he is to be able to tell you who he is, to link you. If I can ever find him, then I will. I'll tell you who to go and look up. But he was talking about, you know, a lot of people like to go from really high heat and then jerk it down to like, you know, a medium or a low heat, and then it starts dropping too far, and then you jerk it back up, you know, to like, he said you can't, you know, not to do that, because that's what caused a lot of your siphoning, which the siphoning just means that some of your liquids or whatever will come out when the air is trying to expel. It also lets some of the liquid expel. And sometimes, as long as it doesn't bother the seal, they will still seal anyway. And as long as they're sealed, the seal's okay. You know, I mean, you tug at it a little bit and then make sure, but as long as it seal's okay, then it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. But I mean, who wants a bunch of siphoning? If you're canning, like, say, green beans, and then you look and you've got it plumb full of water when they go in the canner, and then they come out and you've got about that much water, you know, that's gone, or maybe more. You don't want that. It's still safe as long as the seal is safe, like I said, and you tug at it and you can't pull that off. As long as it's safe, we're almost there. As long as it is safe, you know, sealed, it's safe. It's just, it might potentially grow mold where the water is not above the vegetables. So you want to make sure that is some of your first vegetables that you eat, anything that has been siphoned like that. But he said, this little man did, that's what causes a lot of that siphoning, is going from extreme temperatures back and forth. So that's why I try to just, you know, crank her down slowly. And if I need to go up a little bit, then I'll go up a little bit. We're almost there. I'm going to turn down just a little bit more. I'm going to go down to about a medium, as we're almost there for my countdown. Your older, whoops. Now, your older Presto canners, they've got like the jiggler that you have to count how many times it jiggles in a second and all that. This one is not like that. You just have to go by the gauge, the pressure. I don't know that I would like. I mean, I guess it's old and people used to do it all the time, but personally, I don't think I would like sitting there trying to figure out how many times it jiggled in a minute or a second or whatever. I'd be afraid I'd mess that up. Okay, I think we are there, so I'm going to set my timer for 1 hour and 25 minutes. And I'm good. I'm just barely above the 10 mark, so as long as I'm there, then we're good to go. So again, once you get to your temperature, just keep a real close eye on it. Right now, I am at medium on my oven. On my stove. I'm on medium. So I'll periodically come in here, check on it, and make sure that we're still good at 10 or 11. If it looks like it's trying to, which I don't have any much wiggle room right now, but if it looks like it's trying to drop any, then I'll obviously turn my burner back up. I think we're okay. We're kind of like between the 10 and 11, so I think we're good. Unless anything crazy happens, then I won't come back till the very end. Now, just in case I forget to tell you, hopefully I won't forget, but you never know, something might happen and won't be able to tell you. Once the timer goes off, so once my hour and 25 minute timer goes off, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to turn my stove completely off, the burner completely off. Just leave it alone. Don't touch it. Do not take the lid off. For one, this little guy right here is still going to be up because there's still going to be a lot of pressure in there, just as if you were using your Instapot or some kind of a pressure cooker. Before I carry on, let me stop right there and tell you, you cannot can in a pressure cooker. You can't pressure can in your Instapot or your pressure cooker, sorry. You cannot can in it. It's not made for that. It doesn't reach the same type of temperature. I mean, nothing is the same about that. So you can cook in your pressure cooker. You can get your soup ready to can in your pressure cooker, but you cannot can in your pressure cooker. It has to be the pressure canner. But with that said, your little, whatever thing's called, but your little doohickey here, it will, stay up until that pressure is completely gone out of your cooker, your pressure cooker. It's kind of the same deal with this. So you're going to turn off your stove. You're just going to leave it alone. You don't touch it. You don't touch the lid. You don't touch nothing. When your dial gets all the way down to the 0, this should be down. This little indicator thing, your little, I guess it's like your lock really is what it is. But the lock should be completely flat and down. Sometimes it looks like it's sticking up a little bit, but you just have to just tap it and it falls down. But make sure that your dial is back at 0. Once it's at 0 and your lock is down, then you go ahead and you twist it to unlock it. So you're going to twist it toward the right. So you twist it to unlock it. And please be sure when you take your lid off, that you're taking it off this way. Because if you try to take it off this way, all that steam's going to come and rush at your face and burn you. So, and I done stupid the other night. I took off the lid on my water bath canner. I don't know why I didn't turn my burner off first. I was tired. And when I get really tired and hurting a lot, I go stupid. So I had taken my lid off. Then I go to reach over to turn off my burner like an idiot, and I get a bad, pretty good steam burn. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like the color of my skin is gone. It's just pink. Anyway, so when you take your lid off, tilt it that way so that steam is rushing that way and not at you, so that way you don't get burned. Then you take your lid and you set it somewhere to the side. You leave everything alone still. You leave your jars in there for about a good 5 minutes, kind of like when your water bath can. You leave everything in there for about 5 minutes before you take everything to your towel lined, or your counter that's got your towel on it or whatever. Because same with water bath cannon, you've got to try to let the temperature kind of cool down, let your jars kind of become a little bit more acclimated to the ambient air. Because if not, you might, and especially with this is worse than water bath cannon. That glass could bust. I mean, there's horror stories of people having it in their hand and it busting. But as long as you are following everything like you're supposed to, and you're not trying to rush something, and so then you're kind of making shortcuts, as long as you do everything like you're supposed to, you don't have to worry. Everything is safe. Just do it like you're supposed to. Don't take any shortcuts. So, I feel like I have talked a whole lot in this video, more than I normally do. Or maybe I just edited it all out, I don't know. Alright, we're at 11. So, I'm going to, I think I'm just going to leave everything alone right here. I'm going to keep looking, watching. If it starts going up, like it's trying to get harder and going past the 11, then I'll turn my knob down a little bit. Right now, like I said, we're at medium. I'll turn it down to, like a medium low, like a, let's see. I don't know, I'll start off with 3.5, 4, something like that. If we get much past that 11. But if we stay right there, I'm going to leave it alone. And then again, if it looks like it's trying to drop the other way, then I'll turn it back up just slowly. Alright, I will shut up and I will bring you back at the very end when I'm getting ready to pull take my lid off and all of that. I will bring you back. And okay, as you can hear, the timer went off. So I'm just going to flip off my burner, and then remember, we're going to wait until this gets all the way down to 0, and that is down before we even take our lid off. And when we take our lid off, we're going to slide it that direction, so toward the right. We're going to lift it up this way, that way the steam can blow that way. Set it to the side, set it in there at least 5 minutes for our jars, and then we'll pull them out. Okay, you can see that's on the 0 pressure now. Did you see that? I just touched it and it went down. It's unlocked. Ouch, it's still hot. Now it's unlocked and it's at 0. So now I can go ahead and remove the lid, but just tilt it that way so all that steam goes that way. All right, hopefully that angle can capture it. Okay, so going that way. And I always use press with my thumbs. I like press with my thumb and pull with my finger, but on this side over it's opposite. Okay, anyway, so I've just unlocked it, and then sometimes, let me go ahead and do this. I have in the past tried to take that lid off, and even though it was at 0 pressure, and even though I'm going, that way, I'm looking away from it, it still burns your hands. So try to glove up your hands, okay, and step back. So I'm gonna, steam go over there. It's still pretty hot, so don't let that fool you. It's still really hot, actually. like with any other cannon, you want to check your lids, your flats, make sure they're not loose, they're not gonna come up, and check your that center spot, make sure it's not popping up, and wash your jars. But look how pretty that broth looks. So wash your jars, dry them off, label them, and that's all there is to it. And I'm canning my next batch right now, and total I got 14 quarts out of this. And well, actually I probably would have got 15. Accidentally threw some away, the leftover, and then today I just put what was left over in my fridge. So if I hadn't have thrown that one yesterday away, then whoops, April, then I would have had 15 most likely quarts. So that 22 quart roaster makes a lot of broth. All right, what did you think about that? What do you think about those chicken feet? But that's it. It's not hard. It just is. I don't even want to really say time consuming. It just takes a period of time, you know, to get it done. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something, or at least found some kind of humor or something in it. And if you have, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't become a part of our family yet, I really hope you do. I hope you hit that little subscribe button and turn on that notification bell and become a part of us, because if you've heard any of my other canning videos, I've got several more canning videos to release. I just got to get them edited, but I just need to edit them, and then I can release them. But I'm also planning on making some more canning videos. So if canning's your thing, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell, and you'll know whenever I'm releasing some new ones. So anyway, I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, whether it be morning, evening, bedtime, whatever it may be. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye. Well, I probably will come back in just a little bit, well, forgive me, just a second, and show you what the jars look like once I pull them out and all that good stuff, because I'm sure I'm going to have some other videos out before this one, so it'll give me time to be able to show you what they look like. So, bye.